Okay, I'm about to cover what do Steven Tyler, Billy Corrigan, Sniffy Joe, and Alex Gray have in common. This is a painting by Alex Gray. You may see the familiarity between this image and the last. And it's a self-portrait that he drew when he was 18 called Pulling Apart. And this is Uncle Sniffy. These are just random screenshots I pulled from his speech from November 9th. And on each one, it's either indistinguishable or reptilian. I can't find one where you see round, but there is 3 layers of color instead of 2, like a normal pupil. And I'm gonna leave the link to that entire speech. It's an 11-minute long speech, along with where I got it from. And we're gonna cover some of the lyrics from that song, Living on the Edge. They are appropriate and applicable to today and the situation we're going through. If Chicken Little told you that the sky was falling, even if it wasn't, would you still come crawling back again and again and again? There's some symbolism in there, but we'll go over the lyrics to that song here in a minute. A lot of them are pertinent. Something wrong with the world today, I don't know what it is. There's something wrong with our eyes. We're seeing things in a different way, and God knows it ain't his. Sure ain't no surprise. Something wrong with the world today. The light bulb's getting dim. There's meltdown in the skies. And all the symbolism. It's got lots of symbolism. From 1993, before people knew how to spot this symbolism. But we still don't really know what it means. One of the lyrics is, if you can judge a wise man by the shape inside his eyes, then this day you're a better man than I. Okay, it says by the color of his skin, but I thought I'd just throw that in there because it rhymes a little better. That's all. But before we get back to that, there's a whole presentation there. I want to draw everything I said in those 2 videos to a fine point of 1 sentence. If you testify to third-hand hearsay in an American courtroom, court of law, here's the 1 sentence. In American courtroom, if you testify to third-hand hearsay when in fact you have first-hand witness, you're guilty of perjury. Now I'll extrapolate on that a little bit. No matter what the charges are, what the defendant is up against, rape, robbery, murder, it don't matter. And even if the defendant gets off innocent, if during that trial, regarding the evidence, you testify to having third-hand hearsay, and by the end of the trial, it's shown that you had first-hand eyewitness, open and shut perjury case. There is no other side of the argument. There is no gray area. It's black and white. And the reason I drew that all to this honed point from my videos, you know, where Tiger Doug says, Jeff says that lady in Florida says that she saw something. Regarding that evidence, he had it first-hand eyewitness himself of that evidence that he testified to having third-hand hearsay of. And what are his viewers left with? Fourth-hand hearsay. Well, Doug says that Jeff says that a lady in Florida says that she saw some of this stuff over in Florida, so I'm going to add that to my credible info list. How are they supposed to use that in any way? I just want to draw that to a point that might be so sharp it penetrates the mind, the brain bubble, that will justify and defend and rationalize and tell them there's nothing wrong with what you did, that was just fine. But it was the heart, those feelings that are upstream from the mind, those feelings, the heart that really motivates people the most to do what they do. And those feelings of animosity and contempt that he had towards me that allowed him to let his mind lead him astray and formulate that contraption and all those weasel words and all that mental gymnastics and tap dancing around the truth, that was all formulated by the mind. But it was the heart and those feelings of animosity and contempt that allowed him to be led astray by his mind. And this is a good place to insert, just think of it as the heart and the mind, rather than 2 voices in your head, because that's still a little bit sticky subject, the heart and the mind. And the heart is the still small voice within, and that's how you connect to the spirit. And the mind is the one that's always talking all the time, and if your heart happens to get a word in edgewise, the mind's like, oh yeah, I said that. See how great I am? Oh yeah, I'm good. I won't lead you astray. It doesn't want you to know the heart's even there to listen to it, or as a form of information processing and to use your heart to reason through this world. It wants you to use your mind. And since your heart got those feelings of contempt, your mind was able to lead you astray to go do that thing you did, and then it's going to keep telling you everything you did was fine, it's great and groovy, there's nothing wrong with what you did. And hopefully that one sentence that hones it all to a fine point of, if you'd done this in an American courtroom, you'd be guilty of perjury. Hopefully that penetrates the mind's rationale and justification of what he did and gets him to address his heart, lest it lead him astray again and think there's nothing wrong with what he's doing the next time he does something, because he hadn't really harnessed those feelings that let his mind carry him away and get carried away. And hopefully that sharp point of that honed sentence that I just made will penetrate that brain bubble that justifies and rationalizes and tell him, oh no, nothing wrong with what you did. Jeff's just this and Jeff's just that. You're guilty of perjury had you done that in a courtroom. But I guess since we're just on YouTube and you didn't promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you're good to go. Oh yeah, wait a minute. There is a higher law and they saw everything. That's the point here. One last point, and I promise I'll put this to bed, because that honed point that I just made, what more can you say? The only thing you can say is, oh, I didn't see that video. Oh yeah, I don't watch all your videos, I didn't see that one. Then you wouldn't have offered it to your audience as credible information, because Jeff said that someone said they saw something. Jeff says a lot of things, and you don't add that to a presentation. So there's no way you didn't see that. The only reason you would offer that as evidence of fire in Florida, because Jeff said someone said they saw it, is because you saw it yourself. There's no way around that. Unless you want to start lying to yourself and going further down that hole. I'm offering you an opportunity to get out by showing you how you got where you are. So let's go back to where I started this morning when it occurred to me. I thought, yeah. What's that song from back in like 1993 is when that was produced? And I haven't seen or heard it for 20 years, but it kind of went through my mind. I was like, oh yeah, Living on the Edge. And I Googled it and I pull up the video, and in the first 30 seconds, this guy climbs out of Steven Tyler there. And he makes 2 more appearances in the video. So this is the opening scene of that music video. And like I said, it's been 20 years. I Google it, push play, and within the first 30 seconds, the little green guy jumps out of him with the, beams in his eyes. Think that's coincidence? And there's a lot of symbolism in this one. All the black and white checkerboard. Here you go, the one eye, along with the black and white. A lot of stuff we wouldn't have recognized back in '93. I cropped his junk out of the first one, but the reason I'm pointing this out, that's a zipper to his human suit. And you can see his human suit is unzipped. Here, at about 4 minutes into the video, he comes out the sewer. And here at about 5 minutes, he makes another appearance down there and just goes away. So here we clearly have the black and white checkered. But on these are 2 conveyor belts, one going one way and one going the other way. And they show you this throughout the video, that they're going different directions when they stand on these conveyor belts. But here it shows you like a dimension where you go in between, like the Ouroboros, the dragon eating its tail, the Great Reset. So one of the lyrics is, if Chicken Little told you that the sky was falling or that the CV cooties was going around, and even if it wasn't, would you still come crawling? Back again, I'll bet you would, my friend. Again and again and again and again. That's a reference to the time loop. And the whole situation we're going through right now, because some of the other lyrics, I don't know what I've already covered, because this is my second time trying to make this video. But some of the lyrics are, something's right with the world today and everybody knows it's wrong. So you can tell them no, or you can let it go, but I'd rather keep hanging on. And that something that's right is the great relief that we got from the vax. That's what's so great and right about the world today that everybody knows is wrong. Something's wrong with the world today. I don't know what it is. There's something wrong with our eyes. We're seeing things in a different way, and God knows it ain't his. It sure ain't no surprise. And a lot of people these days are seeing things in a different way. Though my eyes could see, I still was a blind man. Though my mind could think, I still was a madman. Those are lyrics from Wayward's Son. I'm going to include that in the description as well. There's something wrong with the world today. The light bulb's getting dim. There's meltdown in the skies. And in the other part, he says, if Chicken Little told you that the sky was falling, even if it wasn't, would you still come crawling? Some people have posited the idea that we've been under a sun simulator for a really long time. There's something wrong with the world today. The light bulb's getting dim. There's meltdown in the sky. And so this artwork by Alex Gray resembles a lot that image of Steven Tyler pulling apart. Alex Gray's artwork is loaded with eyeballs. It's what Tool uses on all of their album covers. You should look it up. He's got some excellent artwork.